As per the RTE Act, Right to Education Act, every children has to be in the mainstream school. There are many children who has the severity. Academically, you cannot orient them. So if you think these children to be in the mainstream school, it is a big blunder. There are many ASD children who are very, very intelligent. They don't have intellectual disability and they can really function well. If we give them right subject and right platform, they'll reach to the sky. But that doesn't happen.
Welcome back to India Autism Center podcast, your trusted space and your go to destination for powerful insights, practical guidance, and expert discussions on neurodevelopmental care, autism training, and above all, empowerment of parents and community at large. I'm your host for this session, Ms. Pooja Datta, and today we will be focusing into a very relevant and critical topic. We will be discussing the importance of inclusion and the scenario of inclusive education in the Indian context. To discuss this, we have with us Dr. Anindita Chatterjee. Dr. Anindita Chatterjee, she is a leading clinical psychologist and she is also the director of Star Mission Academy, which is an inclusive school for children with special needs. So, Dr. Chatterjee, it is a privilege to have you in our podcast.
Thank you so much for your kind words. It is my privilege too that you have invited me to this platform, and I'm really honored.
Ma'am, how are you today?
I'm good.
Ma'am, can you please share
Yes.
in brief, your professional journey in the world of inclusion and inclusive care, and how did you come across with your special interest in autism?
Okay, it's a very, very long story, but I'll just share a few things. I was a student in Rajabaja Science College. Uh, I think it was 86, 1986. Then I finished my master's and I was married off and went to Malaysia. And then in between, I was couple of years I was in Delhi in Lady Irwin College. I started working as a research assistant, and there I came across different kind of disabilities. And at that point of time, I'm talking about 1998 or 1990, um, mm, s- two to 8. This is the period. So at that point of time, autism, people hardly knew about it. So because this is so tricky disability, I find with rest of the disabilities, in intellectual disability or any kind of syndrome. So autism is somewhere people miss because they look so normal. Only the communication was missing. So uh, that time I started working with them, and eventually, I became interested, and then I came back to Calcutta again, and I started looking for my PhD. So my professor said that you won't get any data because there are no children like this. But somehow I managed and I started. Mine was the first PhD from Calcutta University on autism spectrum disorder, from applied psychology department. And then further, I really became interested working with these kind of children, teaching them. I'm also a trained special educator from NIH Delhi. And there I learned how to make IEPs and their individualized education plan, everything. So then uh, I started practicing as well. Now, over the time, I found that uh, schools were taking children with this particular population, but somehow at one point of time they are either rejected or they were withdrawn. I mean, they were majorly dropouts. So this, this really made me very upset. I mean, what will happen to these kind of children who are, there are many ASD children who are very, very intelligent. I mean, they don't have any ID. They don't have intellectual disability, and they can really function well. So this is how I started my own school, and this is how my journey started with making them inclusive. I mean, giving them an inclusive environment so that they can learn, they can get a full fledged school environment. They are never neglected, they are never bullied, and they perform in their own space. So, this is how I started my journey or work, whatever you say.
It is really enriching, ma'am. So, to start with,
Yeah.
if we take the bigger picture, rather than the bookish
Yes.
knowledge on inclusion and inclusive education,
Yes.
how would you define inclusion, or rather its efficacy, in India, where the education system is exam driven, competitive, and where the students and the parents and the teachers are all running a rat race?
Yes. So, as per the RTE Act, Right to Education Act, every children has to be in the mainstream school. But here is a point. There are many children who has the severity, and they will not go beyond uh, the activities of daily life. I mean, academically, you cannot orient them. They have a different kind of training. So, if you think these children to be in the mainstream school, it is a big blunder, but that happens because when a child is 3.5, 4 year, parent doesn't accept, and they put the child in a big school, and the child is non-verbal. Even the children, they are bullied. In my school, I have lot of children coming from bigger school, but they are in class 6, 7. They cannot. Recently, I got a child, 15-year-old, came from a big school. I won't name it because she's bullied. And the moment she came, she said herself, I'm so comfortable here. She didn't look at my eyes, but she said, I'm so comfortable. And you won't believe the uh, vocabulary, I mean, the write ups she writes and the drawing. It's excellent. I have no words to explain. So, anyway, coming to your question, so there are certain children, they need special schooling. Inclusive school or inclusion can happen only who are little bit near to the normalcy. Okay. And at least couple of things we see that when a child is sitting in a class, he's able to take the board work, he's able to comprehend teacher's instruction, he's able to indicate toilets. These are the very basic things. So if this doesn't happen, no point sending these children to normal schools because there they are misfit. And this, this call the parents has to take because there's a big social stigma, where your child goes. My child goes to ABC, which is a special school. They don't want to say this. They will always utter a big name, a big school, but they will never understand that a name is, I mean, it's nothing. It's you are ruining the child's life. So, child, if a child is comfortable, you can make him learn a lot of things.
Mm.
And moreover, inclusive school, uh, there are many school who doesn't have special educators. There are many teachers who are not oriented with the disability, so they just can't figure it out. They will label naughty, doesn't work, always in his own trip. So why? What is wrong with the child, or what is the problem with the child? We have to know about all these. Then only we can help. You know, when you give a write up to a blind person, unless and until you give it in a braille, person will not be able to read it, isn't it? So similarly, you have to have some kind of assistive device or understanding of the disability, or I mean, even the peer. needs to be little bit oriented, that this child doesn't talk or talks less, so helping him out. All these things are very important in inclusion, which doesn't happen. And eventually, the child is misfit in the school. This is what is the scenario presently. Very few, I have, in all these years, I have seen only very few children who have cleared class 10 from a big school, because again, the examination system, that is also very demotivating for them. And so many subjects, because language is a big issue. We don't have any kind of specialized curriculum for these children, which are very important to include a child.
Before we move into further discussion, please have a look at who we are.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay, it is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
Coming back to the podcast. Ma'am, you just now said that the child is taken into schools at the very inception based on certain criteria, or at times school they take because they are also under pressure that they need to
Yes,
take.
yes.
So what will be the solution, or rather what measures can the school even take when they are initially taking the students? Because once they take the students, it's pre-primary 1, pre-primary 2, and then problems start cropping. And based upon the social promotion, till class 8 they are coming in the school, and then the parents are they do not get
But
any
it makes
solution.
no sense. It makes no sense because the child is losing the primary years. And if the child is promoted from one class to another, and end of the day the child is giving the board, will he be able to give?
Right.
No.
Right.
So initially when they take for interview, as I said, couple of things they need to understand, that whether the child is reciprocating or not, little bit, whether the child has a little bit sitting. I mean, a 4-year or 3-year child will not sit in one place like us. So obviously, little bit of sitting behavior. If you ask something, they will point or say. Toilet habit, which is a very important thing to take into account. And if the child has something, parents should say this in the interview. They shouldn't hide, because you are giving your child a bigger platform and you're hiding many things. The child may be steaming, the child may be jumping, screaming. All of a sudden, in 5-10 minutes, you can't make it out. But in classroom, child is feeling uneasy. The sound of AC, the sound of bell will create problem, because you know that children with autism spectrum, they are very sensitive. They have sensory issues. So all these things should be literally taken into account. And if they fail, they should hire some people on that particular day when the interview is going on, so that they can screen the child. It is a bad name for the school as well. You're taking the child and then you're refusing after some time, and child has no place to go. So this is very, I mean, heartbreaking.
You even rightly mentioned At times, children with special needs, they are bullied in schools.
Yes,
And even not only children with special needs who are having certain prominent symptoms, many students, they are bullied. That also leads to a lot of
absolutely,
trauma.
absolutely.
Ma'am, what will be your take on this as to how the school should be equipped in handling bullying?
I think, we do a lot of workshop for the teachers. And then for students we do, but we don't do the topics like bullying, like the suicidal attempts. All these are very common. Day before yesterday it came up in the paper as well. So, we need to sensitize. That is what is inclusion. When my peer will not understand me, does the inclusion will happen? School is a platform. After that, the child goes to college or the child works somewhere. It's an office. So everywhere, the understanding, the empathy lies. So this needs to be oriented with the peers that, okay, suppose Rahul is the child who has joined and he doesn't speak much. Please be friendly, please help him out. And in smaller classes, it really works, but as the children grow, sometimes they are bullied. They bully this kind of children. So teacher should also orient every time. And moreover, teachers' orientation is also required. That teacher should understand that, okay, this child is little different from the crowd. So maybe some assistance, maybe one instruction needs to be repeated thrice. That will help him because he doesn't listen all the time. Mm. So all these things needs to be oriented.
So, how early can this sensitization of students happen in school?
I think from class 1, 6 year onwards, because the lower KG nursery, they are very small and they don't bully actually.
So, it is the
So
earlier it is.
yes, class 1 or class 2
Hmm.
onwards, little bit, don't overload them. Uh, sometimes over information is also bad. So you have to make it in a very friendly manner. That suppose there is a circle time and the children are sitting all together. The child with autism is not doing anything, but he's sitting. So you can ask that, can you hold his hand and make him do? So this will, enhance the other child, that a helping way. So they can help each other. Helping, sharing, caring. This needs to be taught from the very early age.
So, ma'am, this is very insightful. I know even viewers out there, they can relate. Like sensitizing children from a very early age and
Yes.
what remedies can be taken to address this. It is really very informative.
I think, these kind of things in a bigger, after some times, if when they grow to another, they go to another class, from class 1 to class 2, the same group will, of course, help the child. They will not bully.
If you find this discussion enriching and if you're learning something new, please do not forget to hit the like button. Coming back to the podcast, ma'am, inclusion, it is rather oversimplified, or if I say that it often reinforces inclusion. But in a broader context, do you feel that it also reinforces exclusion of children in the mainstream school?
Absolutely. The concept of inclusion, what I have noticed, is very personalized. This child is doing fine with academics, with sports, is always included. Another child is not performing well, even, beyond autism spectrum disorder, the weaker child, they are also excluded. They are not included all the time. The one who performs better, they are always included. So to me, inclusion is including everybody, be it weaker children, be it stronger children, average, above average, below average. So that makes inclusion. But do you think that, this doesn't happen all the time? So, this is something we need to reinforce ourselves, understanding each child differently, because each child is different, and giving them some kind of reinforcement through which they will learn. And of course, I mean, the children also needs to be understanding with the child. So then only the inclusion happens. I mean, in a school, then only it will, in every class. If suppose the child is going to another class, promoted, and you give a notion that, oh my God, this was such a difficult child. I had to struggle very hard. This idea the another teacher is taking, and she's neglecting. So always, you need to understand the child from your point of view. You shouldn't take, there are many, I've seen a lot of regular teachers, they have different ideas to teach. It doesn't need special educators all the time. It's need little bit of empathy and little bit of understanding. Then only they can work with the child. But of course, with so much of crowd, I don't blame the teachers as well. In a class of 60 children, giving extra attention becomes difficult. That's also true. I mean, we can't ignore that.
And maybe that is also the other end of the story.
Yes.
The
Yes.
stress, the burnout that
Yes.
even teachers go through.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Coming to the more human side, at times children who are excluded or
Mhm.
who deserve much better in school as
Mhm.
per their ability,
Mhm.
they go to a lot of emotional crisis and trauma which they are not even able to share and express, ma'am. So with your experiential learning, your lived experiences, what kind of those untold sadness or emotions that you have witnessed?
As I said, there's a girl who just joined my school. She was admitted in Peerless Hospital, and I was called to see her. Then she was having a lot of convulsions, but that was not epileptic convulsion. MRI and everything was done, nothing found. But she was having shivering. Then her body was very tight. She was not able to move. Um, so then when she came after discharge, when she came to me, so I asked. She's a verbal child, but again, speech is limited. She will only answer what has been asked for. So she said that I have no friends. I sit alone. I eat my tiffin alone. Uh, and they pressure me for study. I don't want to study. And she knows that NIOS is there. This word she knows. I will study NIOS. I will study painting. So she is not interested to doing this biology, chemistry, physics, blah blah. So her orientation, that is what, if we give them right subject and right platform, they will become like, they'll reach to the sky. But that doesn't happen because the whole curriculum is different. So many subjects. Then after that, the rat race, as you said in the um, first instance, that everybody wants to get good marks. Even parental pressures are also there. So whole thing, they fall in a vicious cycle. So this needs to be, I mean, the parents should also notice this, why the child is not happy, why the child is having so gloomy face. Because often I have seen a lot of parents is, what is depression doesn't happen to the children. It happen only to the adults. No, no. With children with autism also they have depression, because they are social loner. They are not able to express themselves. They have emotions, and then emotions are played in a different manner by the different people. So this we need to understand. There's a very thin line. And the more we understand, the more they are included. Even, if you put them in some job, they're bullied there also. Somebody will hit them from the back. Just as a prank. So why? You can't hit a person without the disability like this. He will give you back. So these are very fine things, which I don't know, human has this tendency to hurt little bit, who are, I mean, who are not able to become like them. They hurt somewhere or the other, which is bad. When a child travels through metro, everybody looks. Why? I have traveled in lot of places abroad. I've never seen, the children are traveling all alone. Nobody looks. I've seen a very big boy. I think must be in late 20s. He was standing in a bus stand, and all of a sudden, he was doing like this. So I told my husband that I think this child is in spectrum. And then the bus was bit late. So the unprediction, this prediction time is missed. So the child, the boy, he was, the moment the bus came, he was, they banged the door. And the driver said, "Oh boy, don't worry, I'm late. Don't worry, come up." And then he sits in the. So this is what inclusion, this is what sensitization, which doesn't happen here.
Very well said, ma'am. This is really a very important thing to discuss. Related to this, you just now said children in the spectrum, they also have depression,
Yes, of course.
right? So, what are the red flags that parents should observe in their child before something untoward, like you said, it happens?
They should look into couple of things. One is, the child may be having lack of sleep, lack of appetite, more withdrawn, not willing to come out from the home, not willing to go to school. All these needs to are all red flags, because this happens majorly with little with verbal children. Because at times, too much pressure. I've seen parents, they force. If the child is able to write alphabets, then why not words? If words have come, why not sentence? So one after the another. So it is always better, we should go by their pace. They have difficulty. We got to understand this.
If we are taking a global perspective, ma'am, what lessons can Indian institutions learn from international perspectives? Again, including their own cultural diversity when inclusion is centered.
Well, first and foremost is accepting their own child as what they are. Here in Indian perspective, I've seen lot of parents, when they come to my clinic also in my chamber, they'll say everything is fine, ma'am. The child is not just speaking. But no, everything is not fine. Child is not looking. There are hearing impaired children. They also don't speak, but their gestures are very meaningful. They will say, or like this, they will indicate. But this child is not doing that. It's a 4-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl, whatever. So we need to understand that child has some issues. And when you're going to a specialist, you have to be clear about that. What all you are seeing as a missing link with the child. Today only I saw one child, they are twins, and the girl is fine. The boy is in spectrum. So they want to put him in a big school. So I said, can you just wait 3.5 years? Can you just wait for a year? Because he's not speaking and he's not toilet trained and he's all over the place. So then they said that no, the age will go off. Uh, I have to put my girl there, and so both the children can go to the same school. So this understanding, the normal, see, they want to do everything in a scheduled way. That okay, this child has difficulty, so what? Let him put. I said, did you give the reports? Not yet, ma'am. And did you tell that child is having difficulties? If you don't tell, how the school will work with him? He needs little special education or special attention rather. So first and foremost is understanding of the parents. Wherever they go, I mean, I've seen a lot of parents, they don't take the child. Social exposure is a very big thing. So that child imbibes with the normal kids, with the normal environment. They will keep the child inside. So that is a very bad thing, because I have seen in abroad, they take everywhere. They understand or doesn't understand. It's like going to parks, taking them to zoo. This doesn't happen all the time here. I'm not saying that nobody does, people does, but very rarely. And one big thing which I would like to mention is the screen time. I mean, this is something which is like a toy. You're giving your child a mobile, and then 8 to 10 hours screen time, and the mother is working with the maid. No interaction with the child. So these are the things which we must learn from abroad. They, for a small child also, they give bedtime stories. Child understands or doesn't, they will read, they will show. They don't give much of mobile, and they have a very specific time for screen. So I mean, this is a difference. And then going to therapist, which is very important. One or twice they will go. Everything is fine, ma'am. He's speaking now. What speech? Maybe once in a blue moon, ma or thou. Very few words. For a 5-year-old boy, is it enough? Are you satisfied? No, ma'am, he's speaking up. Then, I mean, parents are charity begins at home. So, parents should understand first, then only the child will be included. If you always seek uh, attention, oh, my child is having this, you are seeking sympathy. No, you seek empathy, you make other aware, and you are not ashamed of your own child. So that should come up first, which is very important.
Related to this, ma'am, because nowadays we say schools, they have to be inclusive.
Yes.
It is declared that
Yes.
schools have to be
Yes.
inclusive. Yet, the reality is something different at times.
Absolutely.
What would you suggest to schools? The basic infrastructural and the basic facilities that the school needs to have to foster inclusivity.
First of all, I think they should have a resource room for if they are taking a child with special need, a place which has a little calmer zone where when the child is disruptive or screaming, they can put the child there. Special educator, and some menial staff who can look after when they are in a distress. Um, Parents liaison is very important. Uh, I mean, telling parents what is happening instead of putting the child in completely in a different room throughout the day. Reducing the time or making little bit of structured in smaller classes. It can be done. Little bit of different kind of star papers so that the child can do on the worksheet. Maybe rest of the children are doing in the copies, because some accommodation is required for inclusion. If you have this kind of children, you need to have little bit of assistance, accommodation, restructuring, sometimes labeling in the class that this is the place where you have to keep the bottles, this is the place where you have to keep the copies, because they do a lot of sight readings. So it becomes easier from them to, and some signage can be used. So that becomes more inclusive, more child friendly to be in the school.
So, ma'am, it was really very nice and empowering. Before leaving you, we would want to lighten up this discussion because it's really very critical yet intensive. So, we will be starting with a true false round on inclusion. You give your instinctive, sharp response.
Okay.
So, should we start?
Yes.
An inclusive school benefits only children with special needs.
False. It benefits with everyone. It becomes more aware. It gives lot of awareness. Not only the special need, but others also benefit.
Teacher mindset matters more than infrastructure when creating an inclusive school.
True. Absolutely. Teacher's mindset is very important, because understanding the child, helping the child is not always special education. Has to be special educator, has to be in the class. There are a lot of teachers who really does wonders. So teacher's mindset is very important.
Mainstream exam systems are compatible with inclusion.
False. Nothing. It's, as you said, it's a rat race. So no accommodation, nothing happens. So I mean, mainstream examination is not fit for these kind of children.
Parents often resist inclusion more than teachers do.
True, because parents are in dilemma. They think my child safety, then bullying, all these things. It happens with the in parents' minds, so they are little bit resistant to this. So I mean, in a way, it is true for them. They resist.
And technology will make or break the future of inclusive education.
This is absolutely. I mean, this is nothing true false. Technology will really help, but if you can't put the technology, it will break. So AI is learning of children, orienting teachers, giving assistive device, AAC, augmentative alternative communication. All these are very important. So these are all technologies. So true to some extent.
Thank you, ma'am, for providing such insightful discussion with such clarity and compassion.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
To the viewers watching there, if you feel that you have learned something new, if you feel that this discussion, it has to an extent clarified certain doubts regarding inclusion, please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our video channel and share this video as much as you can to foster inclusion and community awareness. Till we come with one such interactive and insightful podcast, please do not forget to see the video that is popping up in your screen.